Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Live with Barry and Jordan. I'm your co-host, Barry.
And I'm Jordan. And this show, we're here to talk with industry professionals and have an opportunity to learn about who they are and what they're all about. So we're very excited to have our next special guest with us today.
So this person has done workshops all over the world. He's known for his Make a Grand workshop, his professional process workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the author of the best-selling book, The Best Wedding Reception Ever. Peter Merry, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me. Doing good.
Thanks for coming.
Good, welcome. Hey, I just wanted to say...
Thanks for plugging the book. I always appreciate that.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that a little bit later on. But you were just in Winnipeg not too long ago. And
I barely made it through customs.
I bought you a gift. And you took off before I had a chance to give it to you. So I'd like to do that right now, if you don't mind. So
okay.
I got you one of our amazing Winnipeg Jets baseball hats. They are the #1 team in the West currently, and they've been holding that position for a while. So I bought you this hat. I wanted to give it to you. Can I give it to you?
So you want me to take off my Kansas City Chiefs hat and wear that instead?
We're going to do an illusion right now, and I'm going to give it to you right now. So here we go. On the count of 3. Watch carefully. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
There you go. That's beautiful. There we go.
Does that look good?
That looks good? Awesome. Looks awesome.
The only problem is, guys, that's not the best hats. I've got the best hat. And Peter, when I see you next time, make sure you get one of these.
Okay. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, what team is that?
That's our Canucks.
Oh, Canucks. Okay.
That's right.
I thought that's just what you call all Canadians.
So the next time you go to Vancouver, you can get a Canucks baseball hat.
I'll be really close to Vancouver in June. So, maybe I can talk Jordan into coming down to visit me in Seattle.
I'm there.
Hey, if you're going, I'm going with you. Never want to miss an opportunity to see Peter. So let's get into this. Let's talk to Peter. Jordan, why don't you go ahead? I know you have a couple of questions to ask.
So we want to know what inspired you to become a DJ entertainer?
It's an interesting question. I had a burgeoning career in the field of high velocity culinary arts, which meant that I was working fast food and wasn't making very much money and wasn't enjoying my job very much, but I was good at it. And I wanted a new career and I didn't know where to go. I looked through the want ads for jobs, wasn't finding what I wanted. I'd gone to school for a year and a half to do law enforcement, wasn't cut out to be a cop, so I dropped out. Didn't know where to go. So I pulled open the Yellow Pages, started looking for ideas. And as I was thumbing through, I realized I wasn't qualified to be a dental assistant. So I kept going and I ran into disc jockeys. And that's when I remembered that in high school, I was the one sitting in front of the CD changer, changing all the songs while my friends were drinking and smoking pot. And they'd be like, why isn't he participating? I'm like, oh, he's having too much fun playing the music and he's playing good tunes. And so I realized with the combination of my love for music and the fact that I had a naturally booming voice and I wasn't shy, maybe this is something I could do. And I called a couple different companies. One of them gave me an interview, and about a week later I was out doing my first gig.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. And the rest, I guess, is history, as they say. So what things do you do to keep it fresh and innovative?
Well, I try to shower every day, and I try to stay on top of what the latest trends are, not only for music, but for entertainment. I see what I do as being very much a part of the world of performing arts. And so I'm always studying everything that I watch. I can't go to a stage show or a movie or watch a TV show without picking up tidbits of things that I could pull into what I do. I'm always studying everything that I see because that's what everybody else sees. And that's what they're comparing me to. As Mark Farrell's been known to say, DJ good ain't good enough. Everybody's going to compare you to the best forms of entertainment they've ever seen. One of my other good friends, Ron Ruth, has said when he talks about creating a great customer experience, people will compare the customer experience you create to the best customer experience they've gotten from any other business. So that means I really need to make sure that I'm staying on my A game. And when I get a good customer experience in any other field, I'm taking notes on what it did to me and what I can do to create that same feeling and impact for my couples.
Very cool.
That's great.
Very cool. Now, what kind of words of wisdom would you have for DJs who are just starting out, or for ones that been in the business for a bit, but they're really looking to step up their game? And from all of our experience, both Barry and I, and what we've seen from you and all about you, it's you are at the top of the game. So, from the top going down, what would you suggest?
I would say that you're probably going to find yourself wanting to build a music library and put together some great equipment, but don't make that your focus. Those are the tools you're going to need to do your job, but the most important tool you'll bring to the table is your skill and your talent as a performer, as a master of ceremonies, and a mix artist. And so finding ways to continue to hone and develop and expand those skill sets is where you're going to see the most return for your investment. I've spent money on gear that I absolutely love and couldn't be more happy about. I'm looking forward to buying one of them newfangled Denon controllers and learning how to mix better with it, because I've been taking classes on that because I never stop learning myself. But the area where I've seen the most boom for my buck, so to speak, has been when I spent money to improve my skills as a performer. My best example that I share with people is in 2002 when I took a class on stand-up comedy at the Improv in Irvine, California. I spent $250. I went to 7 classes that lasted about 2 hours each. Got to do a performance in front of about 300 people, and it was amazing. And I didn't take that class because I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I took the class because I knew as an MC at a wedding, if I knew how to write and deliver humor more effectively, that would certainly make me a better experience that I could provide for my clients. That would create what I do into something that creates demand. And so people would see that and go, never seen anybody do it that way. We want that guy. And that money, that $250 is probably one of the best investments I've ever made, because I still feel the effects of that writing and the exercise and what I learned in doing that in my everyday work with my clients now.
And I think that's what leaves the lasting impression with guests at an event is what you do live in front of them, because that's what they see and that's what they're going to remember. And they'll always, as you said before, compare what they're seeing in front of them versus other experiences, and that being even the best experiences. But when you come in there polished and humor, with a lot of humor and a lot of professionalism, that's will make you as an individual and as a business owner a lot more successful and more wanted across the country.
No, I was going to say, and learning how to script it and write it and deliver it was huge. The latest one that I've done is I've just finished completing over 100 hours of training in the fine art of improv, which is completely different than stand-up. And that's about stretching your performance muscles so that no matter what happens, even the stuff you're not prepared for, you can still roll with it and make it into something fun and memorable.
And you just actually, I was just going to say something along those lines. Being able to improv, change on the fly, improv is really the big thing. You're always doing that at an event. And that's one of the things that I know I've focused on, is being able to make a change on the fly seamlessly so nobody knows and it looks like you meant to make that happen. And far too often I do see, and I'm guilty of this too, I've got all the latest and greatest equipment, but I've always focused on the talent, the skill, the experience, and creating that experience. I wanted to ask you, because I know there's a lot of workshops. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment, but there are a lot of workshops out there where, the focus is have a business plan, charge X amount of dollars. But I really believe that the assessment on skill level, experience, and where you can take that based on where you are now, I think that makes a big difference. And being a part of your workshops, that was one of the things that I took away from it as well, that's what it's all about, working with the individual based on their current skill level so you can work with them to move up to the next level, as opposed to saying, this is where you should be, but really not have the basis of how to get there.
Right. Being able to continue to move up and elevate and evolve as a performer is one of the keys to staying on the cutting edge in this business. I firmly believe in the wedding industry on a greater scope, and in the mobile DJ business on a smaller scope. We're very much like running up the down escalator, and the minute you think you've arrived, you're losing ground. So you have to constantly keep running up that down escalator. You're never going to get to the top. And that's one of the things that always impressed me about you, Barry, because I've seen footage of you packing a dance floor at corporate events in less than 30 seconds. And you've got them all up there, and not a single one of them felt guilty either. They did it because they wanted to, but they also did it because you knew how to make it happen. And yet, even though you've got that skill and that talent, and that's something that's finely honed, you continue to go out and look for avenues to get input that's going to help you get even better. And that's one of the things I've admired about you for a long time. And any entertainer who understands that when they get that feedback from somebody they trust and respect, that will help them improve, even if it's just by a little bit, they know the difference it can make and the impact it has on the audience and the impact it can have on the demand for their services.
Yeah, that positive feedback definitely helps. And it also inspires too. And, you know, the reason for always striving to find new ways is, you know, especially when you're doing corporate events. Some of my corporate events, my clients, I've been doing their events for going on 16, 17 years. You have to be innovative and fresh to be able to do that same group time and time again. But you can't go in there and do the same stuff every time, because at some point they're going to get bored and want to move on to somebody else.
Either that or they're going to finish your punchlines for you because they're so used to them.
Oh,
don't want
I know
that,
what
right?
he's about to do. My favorite was
Yeah.
Jordan and I have been working really hard on this, and that is to take the same things that we currently do and we're currently successful with and massaging them a little bit and evolving them. So when we go into a routine where it might be familiar to someone and you know they're sitting there going, oh my God, I know what he's going to do next. And you go off on a completely different direction, but the setup is very similar. Again, that's the
Right.
wow factor. They look at that and go, holy moly, that I wasn't expecting that at all. It came out of left field. And that again.
And that's actually one of the keys to great humor, because when people think they know where you're going and you take a left turn they weren't expecting, every single time you're going to get a laugh. It's going to delight the audience. And when you keep them on their toes every year, that's no wonder they're going to keep bringing you back. And then you can keep going, hey, I'm available next year, but the price did go up. Okay.
Now, if only Andrew Dice Clay could change his punchlines.
But he can't, because that's what made him famous. Hickory dickory dock. Yeah, it's, you know, he's stuck. Sorry, that's like
Crowd
the Beach
response.
Boys, you know.
That's great.
Right.
So you have this incredible book, and I know DJs all over the world use your book as a tool when selling to their wedding clients. Of course, it's called The Best Wedding Reception Ever. I believe you're on your second edition now with new pictures. You know, the book is amazing. I've read it, and a couple of times I give it to my clients. Here's the cool thing about it. What inspired the book? Why did you want to write a book like that? So amazing. Like, the ideas and the concepts are, everything's there.
Thank you. I'll be sending you your free case later. No,
Autograph,
the inspiration for the book, yeah, the inspiration from the book actually came from a frustration. When people would call to hire me, they'd say they needed music. And unfortunately, in today's world, we still have way too many brides who think they just need music. And I can give them my entire music catalog on my iPhone right there, okay? But that's not going to make their party great. And when I would go to the bookstores and I'd look at the magazines and the books that would talk about weddings, they tended to focus the bride on how to make her day look and how to feed it and how to dress it. And it was all focused on the image. And that's great. People walk into the room and they go, oh, pretty. And then 2 seconds later, they're going, now what? Especially in today's world. We have such short attention spans today. Squirrel. And so I realized that somebody needed to find a way to show them that there's so much more that can make the wedding fun that nobody's even talking about. And so before I came with the idea for the book, I turned it into a seminar. And I would host brides and grooms in my meeting space, whether it would be a country club or some other space that I'd invite them to. I'd do a 2-hour conversation and share a bunch of great ideas with them. And when they were done, 90% of them would book me over the next 2 months, which was great because, you know, I just educated them. But I realized instead of, you know, spending that 2 hours, what if I gave them a book? So I turned that seminar into a booklet, and then that booklet started to expand until I finally finished it and got it done as a book that I self-published in 2007.
Yeah, it's a fabulous book. It really is.
Say, if you don't own the book, you definitely should order that copy and, you know, even have it for your brides and grooms as a great reference and resource to really help sell yourself. And I think that's one of the keys that book offers.
So that's
well, I appreciate that. I give it to my couples whenever they book me, and I tell them if they'd like, I can get an autograph for them because I know the guy who wrote it. But I tell them if it has 240 creative ideas to make a wedding more fun, and if they do them all, their guests are going to hate them, so don't do that. But I encourage them to go through and just pick out the ones they like and let it inspire their own creative ideas, because 9 times out of 10 they're going to read through it and go, "Ooh, what if we did this to add our own personal flavor to it?" Great, I love that. Now it's going to be even more unique and feel more like your celebration instead of the last 20 weddings I did. I don't ever want my weddings to feel the same. I would have gotten out of this job a long time ago.
And I think that's where personalization of any event really comes down to is you want your guests to feel that they were at that wedding and not every other wedding, because then you're just another number. So really important.
Right.
So,
to give you an example, though, of the kind of the scope of the stuff we cover in the book, I would say a lot of DJs in Canada probably know about the Newlywed Quiz, or as some DJs call it, the Shoolywed game, or the shoe game. The reason they call it the Shoolywed game or the shoe game is because they usually have the bride and groom take off their shoes, swap one across, sit back to back on chairs, and hold up the shoe that represents the person they're giving the answer to for who's going to be most likely to hold the remote. So it's a game that's been done by a lot of people. Some people might say it's been overdone. But there's so many different directions you could go with that to make it more personal and unique. So the objects, first of all, don't have to be shoes. They could be signs. They could be Barbie and Ken dolls. They could be something that represents the bride and groom uniquely because of who they are and what their hobbies are. I had a bride and groom who met while going to dental school. On the tables, they had plastic toothbrushes and floss as the favors. So I grabbed an extra set of 2 blue ones and 2 pink ones and had them hold up pink and blue toothbrushes. It fit them both perfectly. Of course, I smiled like that the rest of the night because they're both dentists. But one of my favorites that's in the book is from a friend of mine in New York, Jimmy Malone, who took it to a whole another level by getting rid of the list of questions. And instead, he handed out slips for the guests to fill out with their own questions. And after you go through and edit to make sure they're appropriate, then you read the questions the guests came up with, and the guests are waiting on pins and needles to see if their question gets used. So it's even more personal and more fun. One I did recently in January, I noticed that the bride drank Michelob Ultra and the groom was drinking Coors Light. So I got 2 of each from the bartender, handed them 1 each, and they got to drink while responding. They loved it.
which is awesome. And I was just at a wedding Saturday, and that's exactly what we did. We had balloons because the bride and groom did forget their items, but that worked out. And during cocktails, I went to all the guests and got them to write their own questions. They had their own team name, and it was super personalized. And that's the things that, of course, Barry and I do in our interactive games and stuff. It's all about finding your own twist, your own way to make it. So when your guests see, oh, the shoe game, to them, they're going to think same old, and all of a sudden, completely different, super involved, and super fun as well.
And the great thing about that is the most important thing, the guests feel like they're a part of something. Far too often, and you know, we talked about this, far too often guests go to a wedding and they go through the motions. It's kind of the same template. They're looking at their watches and they're going, when's this guy going to shut up so I can go get a drink? And the way we do it, and just like you described as well, Peter, nobody wants to do that. They are so focused on what's going on and focused on the bride and groom because they feel like they're a part of it. It's very magical and it's very engaging and it's 100% very personalized. And that's just one of many, many different ways to make your guests feel like they're a part of something special. And that's really what it is.
I agree. I tell my couples all the time, my number one job at their wedding isn't to be the star of the show. They're the stars of the show. My job is to shine the spotlight on them and their closest friends and family in ways that'll keep everybody engaged and feeling like they're a part of something truly special. And if I can keep their guests from looking at their watch, wondering how soon till they can go, I've done my job right. I don't want them leaving in the night saying, God, that was the best DJ or MC we've ever seen. If they do, hey, bonus for me. But I want them to remember the celebration more than they remember me. And if they leave at the end of the night saying that was the best wedding I've ever been to, I did my job right. If they have to call the bride and groom and ask who that guy was because they kind of remember it, but they don't know who I was, that's okay with me. If they call the bride and groom and go, how did you pull that off? Well, we found this guy who helped us put it all together. You know, that's where the end result comes in that benefits me in the long run. But in the short term, at their event, it's got to be all about them. It's got to be unique to them. And it's got to be hosted by somebody who can stay in the moment and make it fun and engaging for everybody who's there.
Absolutely. Now, you do workshops. I know I'm familiar with the Make It Grand and the professional process. Anything on the horizons that may be coming up that if somebody's interested in attending?
We don't have anything booked right now, but what I was going to mention when I mentioned being in Seattle in June, I have a cousin getting married in Seattle, Washington in June on the 29th, and I'm actually looking at arriving in Seattle by that Tuesday prior. So I'm thinking about possibly hosting a professional process event on the 26th and 27th. The 28th will be reserved for the rehearsals, and the 29th is the wedding. So I'm looking at Wednesday, Thursday, the 26th and 27th. Haven't put it up on the website yet, but if they go to thefunweddingexperts.com and plug in their email into our newsletter, we'll let them know when that date gets announced if I do decide to pull the trigger on that. It'd be a lot of fun to do that while I'm in Seattle. And then Audrey's going to fly in and join me for the wedding, and we're going to take a week and drive home and see the rest of the country.
That sounds great. And if you do do the workshop, hey, I said do. If you do the workshop and you have a chance to attend it, it would be well worth it. And we're going to give Peter's information on the screen at the end of our interview, and you can get in contact with him and watch for information on that. So now, cool. Peter, we have this feature called the 60-second blitz. Jordan, tell Peter what you're in for right now.
So we're going to ask you a bunch of questions as quickly as we can, and all you have to do is respond with it's basically one or the other, more or less. And we're excited.
And before we start, how many questions did Rachel get through?
So the funny thing about that is it's 60 seconds, but I think it worked out to be about like 8 questions we got through her.
Okay.
About 8.
I'm just a competitive guy, so I want to see how I do. That's all.
Okay.
Precise editing on Barry K.
Thank you.
We made it work. So
all right.
We'll see how many we can do.
These are simple questions, so you have 1 minute. Good luck. Here we go. The clock will start.
No pressure.
The clock will start when I ask the first question, and you can elaborate and laugh out loud all you want. Here we go. Question number 1. Maker's Mark or Jack Daniels?
Maker's Mark.
Taco Bell or Taco Time?
Taco Time.
East Coast wedding or West Coast wedding?
West Coast wedding.
A Mercedes or BMW?
BMW.
Instagram or Twitter?
Twitter.
Netflix or Amazon Prime?
Amazon Prime.
I know the answer to this next one. PC or Mac?
Both.
Yeah, I think he got you there. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Who is your all-time favorite music artist?
Keane. 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 They're a British band out of the UK.
Cool. And the last question, name your top 3 favorite songs.
Top 3 favorite songs? Oh, God, that's... Name 3 favorite songs. That's a stumper, dude. I think top 3 favorite songs. 6 Underground, the Umbrella Mix, and I believe that's by Garbage. Messiah, Temple of Dreams. It's a techno song. Messiah, Temple of Dreams. It's got the clip from Family Feud with the guy going, "Who loves you and who do you love?" Really cool song, and I love the way that's mixed. And I'm going to say Justin Timberlake, "Can't Stop the Feeling."
Nice. Well,
Very
you
nice.
did awesome, by the way.
Cool.
So we did it. That is the sexy second blitz. That is the 60-second blitz, everyone. Hey, Peter. Thanks for playing. You did really, really well.
Thank
Barry,
you so
can't
much.
help it when you're talking to me. You just think about sex. You can't help it.
That's
No
only you,
comment.
by the way. That's just you and him. Your thing. It's all you. It's all you. But we definitely want to thank you for your time and everything you bring to the industry and continue to bring to the industry. And hopefully everyone out there will take advantage of what you have to offer. And we always look forward to every opportunity we have to either talk to you or see you, and can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, it's always fun
Same
chatting
here.
with you, Peter. It's always fun. Hey, so join us again as we interview another industry professional right here on Live with Barry and Jordan. Again, Peter's information will be up on the screen, so you can visit his website, you can call him, you can get a copy of his book, The Best Wedding Reception Ever, and watch for some of his amazing workshops coming soon to Seattle and a town near you.
And we're very excited to also announce we do have a new sponsor that's going to be part of our show. We can't break the details yet, but they are an awesome company and they take care of a lot of people in the industry. And all I can say, if I was going to give a reference or a hint, something to do with someone loving Star Wars.
Beautiful.
Leave it at that.
We'll be announcing that on the next show. Thanks again, Peter. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care.